Good morning, everybody. My name is Jason Meyer, and welcome to Morning Jumpstart Feedback for Students. Today is Wednesday, and we get a little rain here. We get excited when there's rain because we don't get a lot of rain, and we need it. And good day, Susan. That's right. Rain, rain, rain. So, it's when we get green rather than summertime. Our green happens right after our rain. So our landscape is about to change. So this morning we're going to look at a couple of still lifes, and we're going to slow down and maybe go in depth, especially towards the second one on yours, Susan, actually. So if you guys are around and ready to take a deep dive, hang in there for that one. So there'll be some good stuff on that. But we're going to start with Wendy this morning. I hope that's right. I hope this is Wendy. And I thought I had skipped this one, but I actually did it. But you turned in two, Wendy, and one was really dark. And I think I worked on the dark one. So maybe you didn't even recognize it. But anywho, I think there's some good things we can talk about and see in this one. So that'll be good too. Speaking of Wendy, there she is right there. Good morning, good morning. Good rain, and yes, a little stormy here. So if we happen to disappear, it will be the internet. But I think right now we look calm enough that we should be able to get through the program this morning. On Wednesdays, we do Masterworks in the evenings at 7 o'clock. Is it 7 o'clock? Yes, it's 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, and so we'll do Masterworks. Susan, I know you'd sent me somebody, so I'll have a look at that and see if I've got some stuff, and if I can prepare, maybe I'll do it on that. Or it'll be a surprise. So that's all right. You know, it's kind of fun too, because as I was looking, I didn't even recognize it when I saw it, Wendy. So it's kind of fun to see it at those two different values and check it out. But we're going to, the one you'd sent me just the other day, we're going to look at that starting now, I think. If we're ready to go, everybody, I think we're all buckled up. I know, I'm not a big guy for small talk. I like to get right down to business. So I guess we're going to need a little square dancing here. Dance partner, swing around, round and round. There we go. So I'm going to try something a little bit different on this one. Basically saying the same thing, but hopefully illustrating it a little more clearly than I have before. So for those of you who don't know, or don't have the experience reading paintings, we can see this is glare. This isn't going to be that light over there. And it seems like there's a little bit of glare here. So I'm going to guess that this is a little lighter than it actually is. And perhaps down here, I can't tell if that's glare or not. Perhaps a little bit on that side too. But again, it's all relative. So if I'm ever giving you feedback and you're like, but wait a minute, my painting already looks like that. You're going to judge it off your painting, right? All I can judge off of is what I'm seeing on the photograph. So just keep that in mind, because the photographs don't always match the painting so closely. We all need to learn. We all need to learn better photos. With oil paint, it's extremely difficult to get good photos. It's not just you. It's not just you. We all struggle mightily with that. But again, as long as you realize I'm pointing you in a direction, and I'm not saying paint it this color, because our colors they're really not going to match perfectly from photo to your painting. So again, take the direction as kind of a pointer rather than an exact location. So you got a lot of good things happening where we're going where we need to go in the painting. And let's just show everybody, for those who aren't familiar. If I was to take this, yeah, And let's show that like this glare isn't there. You're going to see this is going to look quite a bit different. Okay, so I'm going to guess where that's a little closer. You can let me know, Wendy, if I've got that wrong. But, you know, taking that light off of that, then we're really getting to the ginger jar and the dance of the leaves. Now, the hard part in painting, and I say this all the time, is the measure. The measure. What does that mean? So I thought I'd try something today. What I want to do is I want to look at all of our orange. And when I say orange, I'm talking about the hue. And I'm going to kind of flatten it out a little bit. Make it, well, to be honest with you, I'm going to make it a little more obnoxious. But it's for clarity's sake. So I'm just going to go through all these oranges here. And I'm going to kind of flatten this down. And I'm not talking about the fruit here, but I'm talking about anything with that color. And again, if you're new around here, my goal is never to embarrass or call out. Around here, it's just all about learning and developing. It's about learning and developing and seeing what's next. Most everybody I'm working on has already improved greatly. And I could probably do a better job of complimenting that. But I get so excited for you guys' growth that we usually just jump right into. Okay, so you guys see what I'm up to here? Maybe not. A little mystery perhaps. But we will reveal our game shortly. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and let's take that away. Let's adjust our background instead of to a white. There we go. Why don't we go down, just so we can see these, why don't we go down to a little bit medium dark gray. Okay, and so as we just look at these color spots abstractly, what do we notice? What do you notice? And do you remember as painters, it's important to know what to notice. Okay? And not what you notice mentally, not what you're quote unquote interested in. But you've got to train your eye to notice where it goes naturally, what it sees first. So one good way to do that is to put in a mirror, flip it upside down, turn it sideways. So whatever you're looking at is an abstract image. And so with that in mind, which of these spots do we go to first? And the answer is, we don't really know, because there's not an obvious winner. So let's talk about this in the abstract. Over here, this was going to represent, and now again, I've taken this to an obnoxious level because I've flattened things out, and I've done this so we can get to an explanation, okay? From that explanation, we'll go back into the painting and see how that works. So let's go a little darker, richer here. Let's go back here. I'll definitely put this on top of these so we can toggle back and forth to see this. Okay. And then this top one represents the front of the table. So maybe I want to make sure that, or actually that's a reflection on the front of the table. So let me, so we'll go back to, right, so if that's the color of the orange, then the reflection of the orange should be a little darker and maybe grayer. Right? You just have to kind of weigh that out. Whoops. Somebody dragged a pencil. Somebody dragged a pencil. Was it you? Did you drag a pencil? I don't think it was me. I'm kidding, it was me. It had to be me. Okay, if we go a little bit darker there, and even if we come up on this next one, gray it off. Let's see, we're going to go and then back here, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to make sure this value is somewhere in between my light and my shadow. I think the grayness is there's a good grayness there. We could even take it down a little bit, but mostly it's about a shadow drop. I mean a value drop. Okay. So where does your eye go now? Right? It obviously goes to the little slice. And so that's what I mean by measure. So where does our eye go on that? And yeah, those are all different, but do you see they almost have the equal amount of impact? Whereas what I want to do is to make sure that there's a growth or a change in that measure so something wins, right? Something wins, and when I say something wins, ding, 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 winner, 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 chicken dinner. When you look at this, how many times, so let's say you just glanced over at this thing 99 times. Out of those 99 times, how many times will your eye go here first? How many times will it go here first? Once you're able to realize what your eye is actually seeing, it's going to go here first every time. Okay? But humans are a curious creature, we are. Humans are a curious creature in that we need context. Is this some yummy fruit we can eat? Or is this the inside of a predator's mouth about to slam down on us? And we're going to figure that out by context. Right? So the idea is with all of these other marks to have a gradation and an order to them. Let's just go up so we don't get confused again. Right? In other words, I wouldn't necessarily want you to jump from here to here to here to here and then over to there. Right? That's just not pleasant. Okay, that's just not pleasant. But it would be better if I could come in here, if we had a little conversation about something maybe, and then there's a rest in the conversation. Oh, and then there's a build, and boom! All right, the highlight of the evening. But most of us tend to think, well, I'm having so much fun. You know, do you see that? You know what? Last night, that was so fun. I had a little tequila shot. Man, you know what? I think I'm going to go out again next weekend. And next weekend, you think tequila's the answer. So, you have a tequila shot, 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 you have a tequila shot. All right, so where are we going now? We're back, right? So just because you had a good time with a tequila shot doesn't mean that you should sprinkle tequila shots all through your day, all through your life. The measure. So let's review this one more time, and then let's look at it with the photo again. So what we're looking for as painters and how we want to look at our paintings, nothing to do with the subject matter. Absolutely zero to do with that. Now, of course, we want to look at that on one level. But this is a more primary level, and this is first. Where does your eye go? Simply abstractly. And right now we have a winner. And right now it's too close to call. It could be anybody's game. No, my eyes aren't that bad. I do see that this is a little bit more than the rest. But the point is when you're seeing this across the room where this is so small that you can't focus on it, at that point do you know where to go? Right? Not when you see all the details, not when you have your nose in it, but when it's all the way across the room. Right? I don't know what size screen you guys are watching this on, so it's a little different exercise. Okay, so that was quite a bit on that, but I thought that was Susan, like, good. I'm glad. I had this thought this morning, and I thought, why not? Let's try this out. So let's flip this back over here. And now what's going to happen if we leave these changes in and we bring the image back? Okay, and now let's take those changes off. Oops, those were my changes. Let's see. There we go. So there's the original painting. Do you see what's happening here? Is I'm just trying to guide you again across. Now we don't want to do that with just our objects, do we? We want to do that with everything. So what if, let's say we decided we like this. Let's say we wanted to go a little bit darker there. Let's go a little bit warmer maybe, just for a little more transparency. So what if we started over here? Do you guys see what I just did? I changed from green to red, but it's the same value. So can you even see that on your screen? I don't know if you can see that difference. If it's the same value, it's going to slide and glide right together. then what we could do, and again, I'm going to do this abstractly, is just work our way across. So what I'm doing here is I'm changing what I'm painting and looking at. And I'm no longer painting and looking at objects. I'm painting, looking, and thinking about moving. And what am I moving? Well, I'm moving their eye. I'm moving their eye through the canvas more than trying to copy an object. And then if that was the most right there, then we could begin to fall back off a little bit if we wanted to. And why would we do that? So that we hold them, in the painting. Okay, so let's go up here and do similar thing. But now we're just doing it in green. And again, am I copying a background and am I worried about? No, I'm simply thinking about how can I move the viewer's eye across this canvas. And so literally the subject that I'm painting is much, much different than the subject matter you're painting. And that is what is meant by judgment. The judgment on what to select to paint what your subject matter is so that you have a good painting. And let me give you a hint, it's never objects. Okay, so if we again got rid of the image and we just had that on gray, where are you going to go on this canvas? Okay. And hopefully you guys can all see that whether you know it or not, and you don't have any choice about this, at first glance, you're going to go there. I don't care how this is oriented. I don't care how big or small it is. You're always going to be going to that same spot on the canvas. You guys see that? Okay. So she says, I wish my brain had the little coloring so when I went back into a painting I could mix the exact color. You'll get there, Susan. You'll get there. And again, it's more than a feeling. It's more of a feeling than knowing where to go. And why do I say that? Why do I say that? I say that because let's say tomorrow I'm coming in and I'm teaching a class. And I'm teaching a class just like yours, just in an alternate universe. And so I'm going to do this exact lesson again. But the problem is when I go to mix this from here to here tomorrow, this is going to be different. From here, this will be different. Basically, never will I be able to mix this exact color up again. Right? There's just too many little bitty variables. But I can easily mix less than that, a little lighter, a little grayer. And the good news is that if I have to work on this again, and let's say I have this, And now you guys don't have these little charts. When you're on your canvas, you might have something else. Can you see that little? That's a little bit different. And so all I have to do is notice, okay, is that more or less than what's underneath? And if it's more, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that to bridge what came before. If it's less and it's not, I'm going to use it to bridge the other side. Right? And so it's more about noticing where you are and what direction you need to move, rather than that exact thing. And the color wheel it does help you in that. And believe it or not, you'll have that really quick, Susan. It's seemingly these impossible things are the things that, oh yeah, that's no big, that's just a little reference. Okay, so I hope that made sense, Wendy. There we go. So what we were talking about there is just moving the viewer across the canvas in the background and with the tabletop, as well as with the objects. Okay? So basically you're doing everything right. We've just got to be a little more careful with that measure, and it takes a little time. So what would this be? Now again, sometimes white doesn't show up here. So if I wanted a white highlight, and I say, I'm working backwards to how you should work in oil, but this is just, I'm put that white highlight, and you can't even see it. Oops, what happened? There it is. Okay, so it's right there, and it's way too big. But I want to do that because then I have to come in here and darken this up a little bit. And in this case, I'm going to darken it and warm it too. And the reason why is that that highlight is really cool. Look how dark that looks. Wait, I don't have to jump down that dark. Wow, that even looks really dark. So you see, by changing the hue, we can still be really light, still have that highlight. Okay, but we just want, however you are, we want to make sure we can see that highlight. You can see that's not super clear either, so maybe that's too bright. Do you guys know what's really going on here? Have you guys figured out where we're going? Figured out? Wendy eye therapy lesson. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, well, why do we move like this instead? Maybe our muscles won't hurt if we do that. So look, this is the same problem we've been talking about. And it's this static. It's the static. That looked pretty dark. What do you mean static? What do you mean static? Well, what happens if we move this? What happens if we move this? Well, what do you mean move? Well, what if this was, let's just say, a little darker and maybe richer? I don't know. Right? What if the front of this said front plane and it changed to something like this? So hint, hint, what I'm doing here is introducing that movement. Just like we talked about with the orange and with the background and with the tabletop. Now I'm talking about it within a single object. Okay, and then from there, we want this to gray off a little bit and probably cool off a bit too, because this has got to be between the light and the shadow. So it's darker than that and it's lighter than that. So theoretically that should work. Okay, and now we gotta, let's soften some edges and see what we've got. You see, it's not right. But again, if the paint is too big and flat, it just takes the illusion of three-dimension out. Part of three-dimensionality and the feeling of three-dimension and depth is that constant movement. But there has to be, quote unquote, enough landings, right, so that the painting feels stable. So that's where the shadow comes in. The shadow is going to be stable. It's going to represent stability for us. And so now I don't know if this is photos, but all of these shadows on the white, I think we're all going to be served well if we just lean them a little warmer. A little, that just slight warmth will do so much. Now this is a little, well, we'll just leave this. I'm gonna, and two, with the dark, again, that stability. So instead of kind of fading this right here, try to get a strong silhouette. Do you feel the difference now? So that feels like that could hold a lot of movement. And that's basically what we want from our shadow. And now that seems way too dark. But is it just an edge problem? Are we confusing a value problem for an edge problem for a value problem? So what I want you to ask yourself is, does the look of this shadow value change as this edge changes? So I'm not touching the shadow value at all. It's going to stay as dark as it is. But what I am going to touch is the edge where it meets the other paint. And I'm going to get that as soft as I can. Okay, and sometimes some of this takes some time. Okay, and the reason it feels heavy right now is because our background's too light, our table's too light, not because the shadow's too light. Let me prove that. Let me prove. Okay, hold on just a minute. So I thought this was good, but we're gonna move on and to, take this even more down the line here. So let's get darker here. Whoa. Look how dark that looks. Oh my gosh. Like that would be, you see, it's a definite value change. And not only that, it's a hue change. So instead of going orange here, I'm letting this go yellow, green, gray. Okay, and then the same could be true too if we just swing this over. Right of the table. It's got to be moving, right? So as it goes back, what happens? Lighter, grayer. So we're not moving just left to right. We're moving left to right, from in to out, near to far, top to bottom, however you want to express it. We got to keep moving and shaking. Okay. You see, and so that richness is going to come, a little reflected light, and you're good to go. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. So good job, Wendy, and I hope you got some ideas on how to push this forward. Good job. Okay, so the main lesson here was, somebody remember the main lesson? Was we're always moving. Right? So our real subject matter is how we're going to move the eye and where we're going to take them. Right? And that doesn't matter the orientation of the canvas, the size of the canvas, or anything else. Right? The eye is going to go where the eye goes. And then we illustrated that point with just abstract spots that I basically copied off the painting. And then we asked ourselves, what if we'd set that up in a hierarchy so that something wins? Okay? So in art, we want something to be dominant, and we don't necessarily want the evenness, right? You could use this evenness for a pattern, right? There are kinds of compositions called pattern compositions, but that's not really what we're studying right now. Okay? All right. Great job, great job. I'm going to take a little tea break here. Have a cup of tea. And Miss Susan. Miss Susan is up. So, should we put Susan to the test? Should we put Susan to the test? Yeah, wow is right, Wendy. Susan's just put her head down and really worked. And then, she did what I told her. And she goes, oh, but it's ugly. I'm like, yeah, it's ugly because this is one step in a process. And she trusted in that. And I can't believe it. I mean, I'd like to take some credit for this, but this information is out there. You can get this information. I like to think I present it in a special way, but I'm not the only owner of the information. What makes the difference is if you take this information and try to apply it to your own painting through understanding and awareness. And at that point, you may get lost, and then I'm here, hey, try this. Oh no, you're good, keep going. Oh, that's a wrong turn, turn back. But the key is to give you guys these tools. Right? So how many of us can see where our eye goes? Is it obvious? Hey, didn't want to go that small. Go small. Go small. Okay, where does your eye go? Well, what if we stop it. What if we reorient it? Where does your eye go? right? It's always going to that same place on the... So that's exactly what we're talking about here. And so what I'd like to do on this one is to take that exact lesson we just applied and go micro, right? So we've talked about macro, the background, the scene it's holding in, and then all the objects it's running through. So now what I'm wondering, what would happen if we had that kind of movement right there? Or even there. Now, to be sure, you do have some of that. But again, this is about measure. Measure. And again, it's not knowing the location of the measure, but it's just feeling. So there's more of it happening there, right? More. But now again, this is ultimately going to be taste of how much of this that I show you you want to do or don't do, and that goes for everybody. Because it's really about clarity versus mystery in a way. And you need a little bit of both for a good painting. All right? For a good painting, you need a little bit of both. Okay, so I want to talk first. So what I'm going to talk about in this painting is, again, that idea of movement on the micro level, and maybe look at some of those measures. I want to think about warming these shadows up a little bit. I don't know if they look kind of like black in here. Now that, again, could just be the photograph. So if on your painting those shadows look warm, you're good. You're good. Yeah, but before we do that, I thought that we had a great color lesson on Monday. And that we got down to how we really use color in painting. It's not about a bunch of color spots, but it's more of a color string or two, and letting those intertwine here and there. So what if we called a color string here for orange? What's a color string? I'm so glad you asked. Aren't questions fun? I think questions and syllables are like my favorite thing in the world. Okay, so what I'm doing here is, you're probably not going to even be able to see this, but I'm seeing what color she has, and I'm matching it. Now it's not going to be exactly, because I'm evening this out, but we're doing this to show you what a color string is and where you might find them in your painting. I'm not sure, but I think somebody has been listening. Somebody's been listening, but that's not the whole story. Anybody see a little orange influence in there? Oh, maybe that was an accident. Maybe she didn't mean to do that. Oh, okay. Hint, she meant to do that. She meant to do that. So the reason we go to where we go in Susan's painting, and we always go there, is because of this. Right? Because she says, I love you. I want you to develop. I want you to be your own person. But this is the direction we're going to go today. right? She's not hurting cats. She's not letting things go everywhere. She's letting us know exactly where this tour is going to go. And then after the tour, yeah, you're welcome to wander on off. Great. Great, 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 great. Now, let's see. Do that. It doesn't end there though, right? Because, what do you mean it doesn't end there? Well, that's one color string. And again, if you'll notice on her painting, she doesn't have these perfect little blocks like I'm putting down, right? She's causing vibration to let there be slight differences there. And that's all very, very good. The idea is not to get some perfect gradation, but it's to, in an entertaining way, just move their eyes through the canvas. Right, and see, look, I told you she did this. I told you she did this. Oh, maybe all those little steps are an accident. She got lucky. Don't give me that. Don't give me that. One or two little swatches, maybe you're lucky. But you're orchestrating swatches like this, that has absolutely nothing to do with luck. And everything to do with design. Okay, I know I'm going on about this, but I think it's important to see the So if we can ignore, let's take the red off of there, and now look at the. Where are you going? Where are you going when you look at that? Again, what is she? She's not taking you here and then jerking you over here and then jerking you over there and then making you go there. And no, there's nothing like that at all. It's just out of the darkness, we're going to come through, and then here's the show. Thanks for a nice date. Boom, right? Not a bunch of drama. You don't love me anymore. Ah, why'd you steal all of my money? Ah, you're cheating, my friend. Ah, no, none of that drama. Just a nice, quiet, peaceful walk by the lake. See the difference? Okay, so thank you, Susan, for letting us use you as a demonstration. Now, I think the gentleman thing to do, gentlemanly, I like syllables, put them all in there, don't be skipping on those syllables, would be to see what's next here, right? So even at this, what could we do? I think the number one thing, Susan, would be to get some heat into the shadow. A little heat, and again, it's a measure. And I would like to see the grapes stay quote unquote black. And then I would like, where are we going to do this? Let's do it right here. So what would happen? So I'm going to go from a black to a slightly brown. I'm going to let that cast shadow be black. Soft edge there. Are you guys seeing that difference? So again, it's the same value, but it's just warmer. A lot warmer. Do you feel the difference? How much more life there is in that? And then the same could go here, because our eyes love warmth and light. Right? We can hit these dark values but still show a little color and glow. So in other words, on your dark ends, I think we could use some more warmth. You don't have to put it everywhere. So if we see, there's the grape and there's the orange. You see, that almost gives it like that vibration we talk about, like when the green and the orange cross over. Okay, and so here, again, maybe it's not so strong, but could we still do a little bit of warmth? And part of what this does is that when it gets to the gray, the cool gray of the air, it helps soften the edge. Because your eye's going to prefer to go towards that warm, and so it'll let go of the cool. And if this edge is cool, guess what? That means that this gets softer because the eye wants to ignore it. Okay. See, again, it's subtle. It's subtle, but I think this is where I would go with mine. Yeah, everything I have to say is really, well, I don't want to say, it's almost not fair, really. But this is what it takes to go more. Like if we want to keep them in the painting, we want to keep them in the painting. Maybe we let that go just a little bit. Right, you see how we hold them in? And what if we wanted that orange slice just a little more intense? Well, then what we could do is, again, not let this next one be quite so much. Is it? See, it's less than that, or more than that, I should say. And again, I'm doing big and flat here because of time. So let's see that difference. So, and what we want to look at here is how it affects that. Does it make it brighter? Does it make it stronger? And we're just going to look at this little corner, and then we're going to look at it in the entirety of the painting. Okay. So this seems more like a movement, right? Seems more like a singular movement. Where this feels like stepping up, off, off, off. It's more of a step. But the problem now with the green is what? It's kind of too even with this. Do you guys see that? It's a completely different color, but it's almost like the flatness of that is competing with that warmth beauty of this that our eye prefers. So how do you handle that? Well, the first thing you have to decide is who wins. Who wins? What do you mean who? Okay, we don't know where to go between these three. So who wins? You have to decide who. Do you want the viewer's eye going here? Or do you want the viewer's eye going here? Or do you want the viewer's eye going here? Does that make sense? And then off that, let's say we did want the viewer's eye to go there. Then what would I do? Well, then that's got to be a little more. So, or something else I could do. Well, you don't want to get too spicy. Let's just put this more. Let's not get too creative today. Right now. And now it's still a step off. But are we more? Maybe, maybe not. Well, if you need more, then again, what other tools do you have? Could we do a nice sharp highlight on that edge? Right? Well, it's still not quite enough. Well, what if we just did nothing but a hard edge right there? So in other words, what I'm doing with this shape is making it, you remember how I said we can't do what we did to the ginger jar? Well, we're actually doing that to the shadow. We're flattening it out and making it like a flat shape. Okay, so some of those little movements, let's see, are we separating from... Haven't quite separated from the grapes enough. Well, you could push it a little lighter. You could push it a little brighter, the shadow. Whatever you want to do. We're probably pretty small. I'm not sure how big this is. I think I would definitely make more of a cast shadow from this guy. Right? Just make it a little longer. And maybe, you know, as it turns under here too, that shadow will run longer. Let's see what this does. Let's see what this does. Yeah, I see it. I think that's going to give the little guy a little more presence there. And so that's a thought. That's a thought. Let's look up here. I got lost in this, guys. Let me have too much fun. Let's see. Interesting side note. I knew I wanted to go micro with color value steps, and in doing that, the front right leaf stood itself up. Oh. Yeah, and that's really the challenge of painting is there's so many balls to keep in the air at once. So many balls to keep in the air at once. But you're on the right thing because you always have to go back to, you can't go so micro that you can't check, where's the eye going? Is the eye still going where we want it to go? And let's see, what did we do? Did that, like even that small, I don't know if you can see it on mine. I've got a little iPad screen I'm looking at it on. Just that slightly bigger shadow. And I know you said what you said, it's an 8x10, the gecko's tiny. Yeah. But sometimes it's just showing that movement. Even if the size is a little bit off, but showing it fall kind of across, fall down across the sphere, if that makes sense. So the whole theme today is just move, 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 right? But always know where you're taking them to and where you're taking them from. So, Susan, did you have any more questions about this? Like up here, I think what I might do here, whoops, hitting the wrong buttons here, is I was going to talk a little bit, I didn't quite get to it, about making these things disappear a little bit more, about getting the soft edge just a bit softer. Now again, this isn't much. This isn't much. But a lot of times, if you go a little more there, and then at the same time, like you've got that there, you've got that little shadow. I'm just trying to see if I can get that edge a little harder, a little more crisp, right? And so that our hard edge is harder, our soft edge is softer, and again, the journey. Now you're already doing this. Again, I'm just trying to see, could I take it a little bit further? So did that work out? Let's see. Do you see how that changes the focus? Because I think, Susan, part of what's happening here that's depressing the movement what's going on here? What's going on here? There it is. All right. Is some of these edges just seem to be holding a little bit long. You know, it's like if we're having an argument or a discussion, we do want data and facts, but let's face it, even if it's important data and facts, if you've been going on for 17 minutes straight just on straight data, you've lost everybody except the most brilliant, right? And so this is similar too. If we give them too many of these really, really crisp edges, I think we're going to lose. So I think I would, and again, it's a matter of measure. It's a matter of measure. But do you see that? It's just a little bit more, and then again in the places, so it's not quite everywhere. Like where would we start? Well, if we wanted to go, if we want to go up like that, then probably what I would do is I would play this one down. Like maybe even get rid of that highlight right there. And maybe this side, it could go lighter, but maybe we just don't go as light. Right? And then 2, just because it's there doesn't have to mean we have to put it. You know, maybe we don't put that shadow on here. Right? I don't know if you see that. It's super, super subtle. And then it's just a question of how much, right? How much? You saw how we hardened a shadow to get more attention there? Well, we could also soften. Now I know this is coming up here, but what I want to do is make that a little longer so that there's not so much brightness over here, and also walk off that edge a little slow. You know, as it gets further away, it doesn't have to be so hard. And then also, if there's too much, how else could we? Well, we could soften that edge there, right? In all these ways. You know, that white attracts attention, so let's just get rid of that. So now do you see how that bottom leaf lets go, and so that we're clearly on the ascension? Okay. Now, again, I want to emphasize this is a matter of taste and really personal opinion, because the question, more than anything, is simply how much time and energy do we want to spend right here? Right? And some are going to be more and others are going to be less. Right? How much time and energy? 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 And the thing is you want one thing, whatever it is, or a group of things, maybe even it's like this, to obviously, right, if you're going on a vacation to Disneyland, the hotel swimming pool shouldn't be what the kids are talking about when you come home, right? It was to Disneyland or Disney World. We're going to Disneyland. So, anywho, let's see what we have. Any questions? I got it. I like it. All right. You probably said that 15 minutes ago, didn't I? Didn't you? All right, guys. I think we'll leave it there. We're 10 after. So you guys are doing great. Keep it up. And I'm loving what we're getting to talk about, because we're really getting down to the things that will help you finish your painting. And how different is that than what we thought finish was before? Okay. How about a little do-si-do? Thank you so much for being here. We'll be back tonight for Masterworks, and in the morning for one more morning jump start. And Friday is the last day of this session, so we'll have one last look at everybody's painting and see how you guys did. And then starting Monday, we have a new session. So if you've been watching and would like to jump in, jasonmeyer.com, you can find all the info, contact us, and sign up. We'll start on Monday. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a good day.